The CFL Gambling Podcast Week 2 reaction show and power rankings episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times the amount you enter with their brand new Pick 8. Sign up today with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. And yes, they do have CFL action. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCE SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. That's RITHMM. Yes, get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. Once again, that's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm.
This is Dan Hawkins. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
CFL Gambling Podcast Week 2 reaction show and power rankings episode. And look, there's a lot to react about, but I think this will speak on my behalf.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
Yes, folks. Once again, hop on over to YouTube. You can watch this show, youtube.com, type in CFL Gambling Podcast. And subscribe to wherever podcasts can be. CFL Gambling Podcast, Spotify, iTunes, whatever. Check it out. Hop on over there. Give us a 5-star review if you can. But we got a lot to talk about. Look, I didn't have the greatest week. And if you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Oh, boy. I felt like I almost won every damn game, but I lost them all, pretty much. Hit on a couple overs. I'm an overs guy. I'm a totals guy. Even my huge tits Pam Anderson parlay didn't work out. Struggling. I was on fire last season and eating a nice slice of humble pie. I am joined by my co-host. He is the host of the Old Fashioned Football Podcast, which you need to be subscribed to. He's going to pour himself an old fashioned right now because he's been out changing goddamn tires all throughout the state of Iowa. All right. Give it up for Justin Mark, a.k.a. J Mark. How are you doing, brother?
Doing all right. It's hot out. Had to go rescue the wife and change a tire. She could have done it, but she was in a dress and flip-flops, so not exactly work attire for changing tires. But so pouring myself some whiskey. It's hot out. I got told this weekend it's too hot for whiskey, and I said it's never too hot for whiskey, and I'll put that to the test.
Whoa. Who the fuck said that?
Some gin and tonic guy. He preferred gin and tonics because it's too hot for whiskey. I said, I don't think so.
Hot for like, if you have like, if it's one of those drinks that heat up with whiskey. I'm drawing a blank on it right now, but there's a whiskey there's a whiskey drink that gets heated up, but that maybe that one. But as far as whiskey rocks. Like on a hot day, that's what I seek.
I know. I mean, I don't need that kind of negativity in my life. I'm going 1-3 against the spread in the CFL, but feeling like it should have been 4-0. I don't need the negativity of it's too hot for whiskey. Get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. What whiskey are you working with tonight, by the way?
So I thought I'd switch it up. I'm trying to drink Canadian whiskeys on this show because it is the Canadian Football League. And so I picked up this nice bottle of Pendleton Rye. Very fancy looking bottle. In fact, I brought it home and the wife said, was that like a $60 bottle? I said, no, it was $28 with a $3 coupon. Iowans are big on coupons. So I don't know if you know that, but if somebody in the Midwest buys something that's on sale or has a coupon, they got to tell you that.
I don't know that I knew that, but it's good to know. And hold on. So we got it before we dive into the action. We have to just talk about your, cause I feel like, I'm a guy that loves whiskey and drinking, pretty much whatever, but if you have to go change a tire, I would say like the need for a whiskey after would be maybe the most ever.
Well,
Like,
especially when your tire's caked on from your gravel dust and your shitty road you live on. I'm literally on the ground kicking the shit out of this with my heel, trying to get it to bust free. It worked.
yeah,
I got it. It worked, but it took some effort.
yeah. If anything, and that's what I mean though. Like I've been there before, never on a gravel road, but I mean on an LA freeway where it just takes forever and you're sitting there sweating your ass off. But you know, that's what I'm saying. That's why I would question whoever told you this. I honestly feel like one of the remedies when I'm super like something like that, one of the first things I think of is like, I need a whiskey on the rocks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I don't, you could say old fashioned, I'd be like, no, just give me the whiskey rocks. I don't need anything else. Um, and look, I don't need anything else as far as CFL football games. As much as I'm excited about the rest of the year, I'm terrified on this season so far because, I mean, we had 4 straight days of CFL action. I love the spread out schedule, but good Lord, before we go game by game on this, do you have, what was your just takeaways on all of the action? Dude, these games are all better than the UFL championship. Let's be honest.
That's true. I was really impressed with what the Red Blacks did, beating the Bombers, upsetting them, and then just I mean, we'll get into this when we talk about them, but talk about bad beats. We lost those last 3 games in the last minutes of every game, sometimes last seconds.
Dude, the final one to me, my wife saw me, we were going through some papers for insurance for our newborn. And when that I'm referring to the Hamilton game, when the bad enough, I'm bitching at the TV when they give up 10 unanswered and their defense just looks like they're just not interested. But then the interception, I throw all the papers in the air right there. I'm just like, okay. And she's like, well, you don't have to get that. I do have to get that pissed. There's money on the line here. All right. I do. You had a 10-point lead with like 6 minutes left. I don't know, getting ahead of ourselves, but yeah, the action was so good. It's been a surprising season thus far. Would you say that?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And not just because the Bombers are owned too. There've been a lot of surprises, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, we're going to talk all about it. We're going to go game by game. But before I do that, I want to tell you that you are listening to the CFL Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And the countdown to football season is on. Well, we like to think it is football season, but American football season is on. And SGPN has you covered. The college football experience, which I host, is doing individual team previews for every single college football team. Yes, all 134 FBS college football teams. 1 hour dedicated to every single team. So check out that. Plus SGPN's 5-minute fantasy football is your quick and dirty podcast, getting you prepped for all things fantasy. Check out both of those. And check out the whole Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And remember, as always, folks, too, let it ride. All right, here we go with just the madness in a way. Our first game was the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the odds-on favorite to win the 111th Grey Cup, might I add. And they did not really get it done. They looked like shit, to tell you the truth. They lost 23-19 to the Ottawa Blackhawks. What am I talking about? Ottawa Red Blacks. It's been a long day for me too. I need a whiskey. They didn't look good. Like, as much as I want to say like Ottawa stole this game, not really. I feel like Ottawa looked better. So you nailed this one with Ottawa on the money line. Drew Brown and them, they outgained them. The Red Blacks had 367 yards of offense to Winnipeg's 327. We have some fly ass graphics, by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube. They got more first downs than Winnipeg. And how about Winnipeg only rushing for 42 yards compared to 129 for the Red Blacks? That isn't going to win a lot of games, in my opinion. And then the turnovers, 3 turnovers to 0. Yeah, I ate shit on everything here. I was on the over. That did not hit. I was on Winnipeg -7. That did not hit. And look, I just feel like this season is not my season. And I just think
Coaching did a horrible job. The players did a horrible job.
that's the way I
we
feel.
got our ass kicked in that second half. It sucked. It stunk.
You can't win.
Your thoughts on this game, because man, I did not look. I know you took the points. I don't mind taking the points, but like I didn't think they would win outright.
Yeah. Biggest takeaway for me is the Red Blacks have actually had a fairly good defense the past couple years. They've played pretty hard on defense. That carried over to this year. They finally look like they may have an offense that can keep up with that defense. They can put up points and attribute to the games. I mean, as good as Drew Brown looked, I came away being more impressed with Raquel Armstead. I mean, this is a guy that he was out of football because of COVID and health issues. And now here he is running for 95 yards in the CFL.
I loved him in college.
Yeah.
I loved him in college. So I'm glad to see. I could have swore he was he in the USFL for like
he was USFL or XFL for a brief
That's
period.
what I thought.
Yeah.
I've always been impressed by his game, especially at Temple, but yeah. I mean, do we hit the panic button? I know it's an 18-week season here or an 18-game season here, but like, do we hit the panic button on the Bombers?
If they can't fix their offensive line, absolutely. Zach Claros is not a young buck that can run around and get away from that pressure very well. And their offensive line looks horrible. Now, maybe the Alouettes and the Red Blacks are two of the best defensive lines in the league, maybe. But I think it's more so that just the Blue Bombers offensive line is horrible. They can't seem to hold for shit.
Yeah. Shout out to Wheat King in the chat. Remember, folks, you can hop over the chat and talk about all this action with us. He thinks the bigger thing is that Winnipeg has not changed their team very much in 5 years. And you know, maybe they're just long in the tooth. I think there could be some, some truth in that. I don't know, man. I couldn't believe this one. I thought the over would hit too. Were you on the over or the under here?
I was on the under. So this is the only game I went 2-0 on.
Look at this guy killing it over here.
It's not going to get easier too, because Brady Oliveira not practicing yet. Now Dalton Schoen not practicing because of a hip injury. They're already down Kenny Lawler. I mean, it's not looking good for him.
I just like there's one thing to lose, but like okay, I know we're gonna get to this game, but like Hamilton's 0-2, right? But damn it, like the offenses look decent. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so it's encouraging still. You're just when I watch Winnipeg, I'm like, they just look slow and not very good in many aspects of the game. You know what I mean? On the line of scrimmage, I just feel like they've struggled. Kicking game struggled game 1. I don't know about game 2, but yeah, I don't know. It's just this is a shocker because me and you both thought like put them in the Grey Cup already. Yeah. What was I gonna say was Drew Brown. Did they make a mistake letting him go?
Yeah, 100%. Because I think right now he would be a better quarterback than Zach Claros.
I agree. Yeah. I'm like, I know maybe it's just cobwebs. He didn't play in the preseason much. Maybe that's an element of it, but
at his age, he shouldn't have to, though, right? I mean,
yeah. Another thing is my boy Justin Hardy from ECU, dog. All right,
oh yeah,
absolute dog. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to project next week's picks, and I'm like, do I want to die hard like Bruce Willis with these Blue Bombers? Yeah. Shocking. And I was on the over 2. That didn't hit. Moving along to the next game, which was, if I go chronologically, it was Montreal and Edmonton. Oh boy. The Eskimos lose to Montreal 23-20. I mean, this one should have hit, man. All right. The first one, I feel like I'm not even going to say that I should have been on the winning side because I thought Winnipeg looked like shit. I think, this game though is where I start to feel robbed because what was it? 23-13, was it?
Yeah.
23-13. What? 2 minutes left?
Yeah, just about. I'm trying to figure out when that touchdown came in, but it was pretty late in the game there.
Yeah. And I got the stats all pulled up on the screen here if you're watching on YouTube. If not, get on over and check it out on YouTube as well, folks. 16 first downs. That's all the Alouettes had. The Eskimos had 26. But believe it or not, the Alouettes still somehow managed to outgain the Eskimos 385 to 372. Running the football. I am glad to see this. You know me, J Mark. I like running the football and physicality. And you saw it with the first game. The team that ran for more yards won the game. You're seeing it here. The Alouettes won the game, rushing for 116 yards to the Eskimos 72. Even though the Eskimos passed for more yards and 3 turnovers. That's another thing. I mean, it's almost remarkable that they only lost by 3 with 3 turnovers, and the same can be said for the Winnipeg game. But anything else stand out for you? Now this is another one. I at least was on the under and it cashed. I was on the under here, so it cashed. So damn it, I didn't go 0 for 8 here, but I still felt like we were on the. There's a bad beat. Your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, it was 35 seconds left when they scored that touchdown to get the backdoor cover. So that's how close we were to covering. I mean, shout out to Edmonton, more first downs, more yardage in the air. They're staying competitive. I mean, a lot more competitive than I feel like they have been the past couple years. And I think eventually that is going to turn into throwing some wins together. I was impressed with how they played against the Alouettes, especially after the Alouettes they destroyed the Blue Bombers, but maybe what I'm seeing is that the Bombers are just that bad.
Yeah. I mean, that is a concern, I would say, is we're going to give away our power rankings in a little bit. So, but it is funny, like thinking about that. I was wondering, like, do you pull McLeod Bethel Thompson? I feel like the crowd was kind of asking for it late in the game. I'm curious what you think about that now. They have what, Dakota Prokop, who had a rushing score or 2, I think, already this season. Then Trey Ford. If you're the head coach of the Edmonton Eskimos, what do you do? Do you keep McLeod Bethel Thompson in there because you've been in both games? But I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, it's hard because he obviously is a veteran. He's been in the league for many years, but I think one of those younger guys, especially Dakota Prokop, I know we both like him. I think he might be able to come in and add some more spark to this offense and maybe get them that win. So I wouldn't pull him yet, but another game or 2 here where they're just not able to get a win, I think you have to look in a different direction.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's got to be frustrating from a fan standpoint, but I mean, Montreal, they look good. They didn't have Tyler Snead. I still thought they looked all right, good enough to where I still buy in. Any red flags with you with the Alouettes?
I just thought they should have won this game by more. I know it was a backdoor cover. They were ahead by 10. But I mean, I thought they should have dominated the Elks a little bit more, but I'm not concerned yet. I mean, it's hard to get concerned until they start losing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Fair. I mean, this is to me, like they were the better team on the line of scrimmage. If you watch the game, I thought they were just the much better team on the line of scrimmage, and that always matters. All right, look, before we get to the next 2 recaps, I want to tell you that the CFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. And yes, they have CFL action, bozos. Get on over there. Pick 8 is now live. For the NBA Finals, which I think just ended. But create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries, so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry with more picks to make and extra ways to win. The excitement is higher than ever. And the best part is you can win up to 325 times the amount you originally enter. You can also now use specials and boost on all flexed entries. So don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone. Sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. Once again, underdogfantasy.com, promo code TCE SGPN. All right. Back talking the great CFL and the path to the 111th Grey Cup. And next we jump over to well, actually no, chronologically I threw this all out of whack. Calgary Stampeders at the BC Lions. Now I'll say this: I cashed in on some DFS this week, and mainly because Vernon Adams and those wideouts for the Lions. However, like I did remove Vernon Adams, or I did put Vernon Adams in my lineup over Bo Levi Mitchell, which actually I think he might have gotten more. But this one, the numbers are a little shocking to me. First off, the Stampeders 24 first downs to the BC Lions 21, 400 yards to 400 total yards for the Stampeders to 362, 61 rush yards to 85 rush yards, 339 pass yards to 277. BC had only 277. But 3 turnovers. Once again, these teams, you can't have 3 turnovers and expect to win. The final score was the BC Lions 26, the Stampeders 17. Yes, we had +8 with the Stampeders, and damn it, this one should have hit, man.
They kicked a field goal with 40 seconds left. BC did. So the first game we were 35 seconds. They backdoored. This one 40 seconds left, and they kick a field goal to cover.
Yeah, I was also on the over, and I got this one wrong. This was a tough weekend for me. I'm down a few C notes. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it to the audience. They deserve to know. Well, I'm not one of these fucking losers that's gonna sit there and say, "I won." Yeah, call 1-800-PICK Dundee. I'm the fucking greatest. No, I got my ass kicked this weekend, but I feel like it was just bad beat after bad beat. Now the over, horrible play. Because that one it didn't come down to a bad beat, but I would take the over again tomorrow if they played. You had 762 yards of offense, and all you got was 43 points. You fucking losers. All right. The place, did I see the attendance? 53,000 people there. There we go.
Yeah.
53,000 people coming out to that filthy dome. But you can't just have this many turnovers and win the game. I don't know. I was still somewhat impressed by Calgary. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. I mean, they still put up 400 total yards. That's a lot of yards. I know they lost the game. The turnovers killed them, but I still think that they are a team that could be good.
Yeah, I do too. Wheat King said, I've never seen a game where I thought the QB threw great, but everything fell apart around him when it mattered. Second down missed conversions and such. It's the same old story all day long. Now, is he referring to the Bombers? Which team are you? Is that to
I think Stampeders.
Okay. Yeah, I mean they should have covered this game. The under would have hit no matter what, and I was wrong there, but I'll still take that over next time they play because like you have that many yards. What the hell?
Yeah.
The turnovers though, man. If you noticed, of all the games we've covered so far, I think every team's had 2 or 3 turnovers. Anyway, BC, are you buying in? They still can't run the ball.
Yeah, no, I mean you called them kind of.
They're an XFL team, dude. Right. They're an XFL team. That like. Am I crazy? I think I was spot on in the UFL podcast where I feel like I knew the past couple of years. Also, the XFL was like you have these like little finesse teams that okay, you get great skill position players and a decent quarterback. Vernon Adams is good, but you know, I don't know that you can ever win a championship with that because you gotta there's downs where you're gonna have to run the ball and you're gonna have to have a physicality. Like football's still a physical sport. You need, I know they're trying to make it not physical. They're trying hard to make it not physical in the world, but it's still a physical sport. Yeah. It was it 50, the 50 Cent concert. I didn't even know that he still like was a thing. I mean, like I know he's in movies with like De Niro, like B-list action movies. I didn't realize that he was still killing it like that.
It's not 50, it's 50.
Yeah, that's true. It's 50. Owen Wilson was there.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Hey, that's making me a fan of Owen Wilson. Let's go supporting the old Canadian Football League. Let's go. Yeah. Any other takeaways from this game?
No, just I think kind of like you said, when BC's gonna play against those tough defenses, the Argos, the Owls, the Red Blacks, I think they're going to struggle because I don't think they can match their physicality.
Yeah, it's just something to keep in mind there. That when I will say, like, they have some nice wideouts though, man. Like they have some like skill position players that are really good, better than a lot of the others in the league, I feel like. But we'll see if they can get to the Grey Cup where they're hosting it. If so, let's talk about the Montreal Alouettes heading to the Edmonton. Oh wait, did I fuck this up? I did fuck this one. My slideshow is not chronologically. The Saskatchewan Roughriders heading to the Hamilton Ticats. This one was the worst one of the whole fucking weekend. This is where I needed a whiskey. You talked about changing a flat tire. I told you I threw the papers in the air. I needed the whiskey right here for this one because I even think the total yards lie to you.
Yeah.
Because the final drive, like Hamilton's in like a fucking prevent, right? The second to last drive, not the game-winning field goal, right? The drive that really tied this thing up. They just gave them everything they wanted to. It drove me crazy. It makes me question Scott Milanovic and the staff because it was like every little thing that they wanted was available. I even watched the like certain replays. They had other open wideouts. It's like you're just trying to. You're only up 7, you bozos. Like this is not in a. If you're up 21, then I kind of am like, okay. Even though I hate ever playing defense like that. To me, you play who you are. You know what I mean? But man, so they had only 15 first downs. The Ticats, but it's because there was a busted coverage early in the game with like a 60-yard touchdown. 410 total yards to Saskatchewan's 423. So Saskatchewan ends up winning the yardage battle, which I think every team that outgained 4-0 in the yardage battles, by the way, this week.
Yeah.
But how about this? The rushing yards, 33 rushing yards for the Rough Riders to 30 for Hamilton. And I just disgusting, by the way. Like, you're a football team. You're putting together 30 rushing yards. Now, Bo Levi Mitchell looked good, but and that interception is not on him. If you didn't watch the game, like, okay, Hamilton had a 10-point lead with probably 5-6 minutes left, maybe even less. Maybe even less.
Yeah, they were up by 7 with 46 seconds left. That's when Rough Riders scored to tie it.
Yeah, so I'm thinking like 2.5, 3 minutes left. Hamilton kicks a field goal to cut it to 7. Saskatchewan, goes 2 and out,
other way around.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Hamilton goes 2 and out. They run the ball and then they throw like a little screen and then they have to punt. And then Saskatchewan just goes right down the field. Every key play was just like lazy coverage to me. Zone. It was just lazy. It was lazy defense to me. And they got whatever. It was like they were trying to give them like you never play that when you're only up 7. Like if you're up 10 with a minute left, okay, I can be talked into it. But like I was dumbfounded. So then they tie the game up with 20 seconds left.
46. Yep.
Okay, 46. But then when they kick off, by the time the Ticats have the ball, they throw one quick pass that gets dropped. It was a little bit behind them, and then the ball goes up in the air. It's intercepted, and after that, Saskatchewan, basically runs a play or two and kicks a game-winning field goal. It was unbelievable, man. This game, to lose this game, I had Hamilton +1. This was absolutely insane to me to lose this game. I felt like I was telling my wife, "This is cash." I go, "This is my number 1 lock." I go, "I've been struggling." I'm like, like she gives a shit about CFL, but I'm saying like I'm sitting there telling her like my number 1 lock last week hit, my number 1 lock this week. At least I know that. No, I jinxed this game. This is on me, guys. And
you can't win.
And now I will say I did have the over. So I did go. I had 8 bets placed this weekend. I went 2 and 6. Whew. Yeah. Any thoughts on this game?
Just that. I mean, you can't lose this game if you're Hamilton. You just can't. I thought they looked good for the most part, but they collapsed. This is the second time that the Rough Riders have come from behind and had a huge fourth quarter. They scored 21 in the fourth quarter, week 1. They scored 16 this time. And it felt like that they were, when that fumble happened, and Saskatchewan recovered it, I thought, oh, we're fucked. And then they come out with that ruling. Well, he didn't have his helmet on, even though the ball basically fell in his lap.
A terrible rule, by the way. Terrible rule. Look, I understand the player safety thing, but like at that point where he's there and the ball just shows up, what the fuck is he supposed to do?
Right. Run away from the ball.
We don't use human logic on this shit anymore. It drives me crazy.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But it benefited us. So we thought we had it.
Yeah. So I mean, just to kind of recap the whole weekend, the last 3 games. So let's take the Ottawa Winnipeg out because we were on different sides on that one. The 3 that we were on, 2 minutes and 1 second. That's the combined total of minutes to where it went the opposite way. We were going to win it except for the last 2 minutes and 1 second combined in 3 games because it was 35 seconds for Edmonton, 40 for BC, and 46 for the Rough Riders. That's that. What the fuck?
Yeah. That's just I just
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
honestly, like,
Yeah.
I went 4-4 week 1, and I got fortunate to go 4-4 week 1. I feel like I earned every little thing. And now to go 2-6. I'm sorry, 2-6. And ATS, I'm a fucking mess. ATS, I'm like, I gotta pull it up, but I believe I'm 1 and 7. Oh boy.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Yeah, where you at? What's your record?
I'm kicking your ass at 2-6, man.
Oh boy. Unbelievable. That yeah, I don't know. Like, if you're a Hamilton, in one way you got to be furious with Scott Milanovic, because you have your offense in both weeks has done what it's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you're 0-2. I know it's a longer season than the NFL, but still, it was just so lazy to me. It's like, what are we doing here? I have a future on Hamilton too, so it even hurts. I think we both have futures on Hamilton, so we're hating this one even more. But all right, let's get to power rankings. But before we get to power rankings, I want to tell you, and actually, hold on. Before we get to power rankings, let's talk about Corey Mace for a second. Saskatchewan is 2-0. They're going to hit that over. I was on the over, but I mean, he's got this team believing. Both fourth quarter comebacks. Are we? I mean, at what point do we buy in?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with fourth quarter comebacks, and we've been there in sports, like, you start believing you can't lose, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all it takes. You just believe you don't lose, and so you don't. So I think I want to see a couple more weeks of it. I'd like to see them lead a game for the majority game, not this continuing to come from behind. But I mean, there's something to be said too about not giving up, staying with it, and ended up winning the game. No matter how they win it, there's something to be said to that, and it becomes this mentality of, hey, it doesn't matter how far we're down, we're gonna win. We're gonna win this thing.
And to me, like, the energy on the sidelines, just, it was impressive throughout the game. Like, as you know, down the stretch. Now they got to work on their run game, both of them. By the way, James Butler is the reason why it cost me. I still made $30 with my DFS lineup I gave away. But if James Butler doesn't fumble that ball, I probably walk away with a cool 100 or something like that, because there was like 20 people in front of me with like a 0.2 lead. That Butler fumble, killer, absolutely killer. I know he's your boy, so I don't want to throw too much shit on him. But yeah. Anyway, I don't know, but yeah. And folks, remember, come play DFS with us. We have a good time playing CFL DFS. We give away our lineups every week on this very show. So, all right, look, before power rankings, I want to tell you that the CFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Rhythm. Yes, if you're betting on, say, NBA player props, then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm is the go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter data-driven decisions. Unlike other platforms, Rhythms combine, advanced predictive analytics with an intuitive user experience, making both betting easy and enjoyable. Rhythm's prediction models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants with over 3 years of data that help drive you to better AI-backed betting decisions. So what are you doing? Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. Then once again, that's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right. And I'm ready for the people on Reddit to call me a piece of shit. I'm looking forward to this. I look forward to it every week. Who do you have at number 9? Because to me, I'm going with the Edmonton Eskimos.
I do not have them at 9. I have the Bombers because they're supposed to be good. They're supposed to be a good team, and now 2 weeks of looking like shit. I got to stick them there until they can prove something.
Look, I agree that they should be 8 or 9, but I still believe a veteran team will be able to figure this out at some point. You see it so many times, whether it's football or basketball. Whereas Edmonton, the Eskimos just they find ways to lose games. So I understand that Eskimos have looked better, but if I had to place a wager next week of them playing, I'm taking the Bombers to get the win. So I'm not going to power rank them at 9. It's the Eskimos. Who do you got at 8?
I do have Edmonton, the Eskimos, at 8. Because I mean, I agree they're not a great team. They've shown some flashes, but they got a lot to prove still, especially with the kind of the losing history that they've had these past handful of years.
Yeah, I have Winnipeg at 8. I don't know how, you got to have these two at the bottom too right now.
Yeah.
We tried to sling some shit on after week 1 overreaction and we ate a shit sandwich. So, at number 7, there's another winless team. Do we have to put them there? I do have the Hamilton Ticats, even though I have a future. You got to play defense. I don't care how many yards you keep putting up. All right. You're 0-2. So be better. And right now, I just can't. I am not like my future. Am I worried about my future? Not really yet. I think that the offense is moving, but I can't power rank them higher than this based off of their collapses.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. I got them at 7 as well. Got to play defense, and James Butler. You want J Mark to keep calling you the best running back in the league. You can't fucking fumble there. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Critical point in the game. At number 6, and now it gets interesting. I think people are this is where the hate's coming in. I got the BC Lions at number 6.
Whew.
I know they just played this team, but I think if they play in Calgary or on a neutral, I think Calgary is better right now.
Yeah, and I think next week, not to jump the gun, but BC is going to have an interesting game against what I would call a desperate Blue Bombers team. Desperate. I went the other way. I did put the Stampeders there because they lost, but I get your point. I get it. The BC Lions have not shown the physicality, but for now I got Stampeders at 7.
Well, they're my number 6 because not at 7.
Oh, yeah.
They're my number 5.
Yep.
Because look, I know it's silly for me that they're 1-1 and they just lost to BC, but I also think it's unfair. It's an advantage for the team at home. You know what I mean? Especially when you got 50 doing the halftime show. All right. And the stats kind of back me up with Calgary, so I think a game at Calgary outside of that filthy dome, I think Stampeders would win in Calgary. So then the question is who would win on a neutral? And I think Calgary could beat them on a neutral. There's not a lot of strong conviction with that, but I believe I trust them a little bit more right now. A little bit more. I understand the hate if they tell me, because it's like, what do we just watch? I understand that side of it, but they had a home game. Calgary did not. BC's had one road game. They're 0-1. All right. So, yeah, that's my logic there. Who do you have at number 5?
And that hate's coming. I have BC. I think these teams are very close. I think you're right on that they're very close teams. Neutral Field Stampeders might have won, but they didn't. And BC even ended up covering. Yes, it was in the last 40 seconds, but they ended up covering either way. So I put BC above them.
Yep. And at number 4, I put the Ottawa Red Blacks. We eye to eye there.
Yeah. Yeah. Very I mean, this is a team, I know it was at home, but they don't win at home very often.
I know, dude. They look good, man.
Yeah, they did. I was very impressed. Shout out to our buddy Rod. He's a huge Red Blacks fan. He was loving what he saw. He said that the energy that they had, and even just how on offense, how they looked, it was the best he remembers in a long time. So, but yeah, to get that win at home, especially with the delay. I mean, it's hard to sit in a locker room for that long and come out and keep up the energy.
Delay was brutal.
It was
absolutely brutal.
But I love how their team, they were in the locker room, like they were playing the music, hopping around. They came out of that locker room, jumping all around, while Winnipeg came out just like all business. I think that energy is a little infectious on the team, and it could do well for them this year.
Hey, let's go. Shout out to Rod Villagomez. Subscribe. Check out the NASCAR gambling podcast, folks, and the F1 gambling podcast. All right. So we saw that. Now it gets a little dicey. At number 3, I have the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They've pulled them out. So I still want to see, but I believe that you speak of energy just right there. You spoke of energy with the lightning delay. I believe the energy with Saskatchewan is starting to become a thing, and that becomes dangerous. You just touched on it a little bit. When you start believing in your team, you won these 2 games, you battled back. Watch out, because I'm buying in, man. I'm buying in. I'm thinking they're legit. So give me the. I was a skeptic last week on both of us on our power rankings.
Yeah.
Give me the Rough Riders at number 3. Who do you have?
And they stole that game on the road. Now they go home and play Hamilton again, which I think makes it even easier, because they say, hey, we just beat these guys at their home stadium. Well, sure, we can win in ours. I also have the Rough Riders. It feels a little gross to say, because I was down on them coming into the season. I was down on them last week after the win, but I mean, they're getting the results.
I saw what Reddit said about you. All right.
Right.
and me. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. At number 2, I have the Toronto Argos. Have you changed your top 2 essentially?
I have not. I still have the Alouettes at 2. And there was a reason. I was prepared to move them above Toronto, but they had that big game against Winnipeg, and I know it was in Winnipeg, but Winnipeg just looking terrible against Ottawa. That factors in. And then the fact that you beat Winnipeg like you do, and now you go to Edmonton and you can only beat them by 3. That says something to me. So I think they should have won that game by a lot more. They didn't even get the cover. Good teams win, great teams cover. So I left them at 2.
No, their defense is still very good. You could tell by the amount of points given up. And even if you add in that bullshit touchdown late, you look at both games besides that garbage touchdown, but even with the garbage touchdown, defense has been, I think they're the best defense in this league. So I still have the Alouettes number 1 with the Argos number 2. It's tough to do. I know some people say, well, dude, the Argos have only played 1 game. Yeah, but they look really good. And someone's going to get a bye week every week. So that's life in the CFL. All right. So those are our power rankings. I want to ask you this before we get out of here. Our slate for this week, we have the Argos at the Rough Riders on Thursday, the Red Blacks at the Bombers on Friday. Saturday is Stampeders at Alouettes, and Sunday is the Lions at the Ticats.
Are you what?
Right? Am I wrong? Oh no, I'm on week 5. Jesus. Jesus. I don't know how the fuck I did that. Oh yeah, what am I talking about?
You're confusing me a little there.
Yeah, my bad. The slate for week 3. Yeah, you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Red Blacks at the Alouettes on Thursday. Friday is the Lions at the Bombers. Saturday is the Elks at the Elks. I'm sorry, the Eskimos at the Argonauts. And Sunday is the Ticats at the Rough Riders, as you just alluded to. I don't know why the fuck I need a drink. What's the game you're looking forward to watching most?
Honestly, it's hard to pick because I want to see how the Red Blacks stack up against the Alouettes now that they both beat the Bombers. I want to see if Winnipeg can bounce back. I want to see if Toronto, after taking a week off, can still dominate. And I want to see if Hamilton can bounce back or if the Rough Riders the real deal. I will pick one. God, they're all good. Let's go the BC Winnipeg because
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, if BC ends up winning that, it's major panic button for Winnipeg.
Yes. I think that's the one where, and I'll be honest, if BC, if Winnipeg wins that, then they're 1-2, the same as the Lions. Those are the odds-on favorites, right? So then you're starting to think like it's anyone's division. We kind of thought those two were we're going to run away with it, but that's the game that jumped out to me, not the week 5 schedule. But we'll talk about week 5 when we get to week 5. Maybe next week I'll talk about week 5 too. And maybe week 15 I'll talk about week 5. Maybe it'll be a thing. Folks, subscribe to the CFL Gambling Podcast because we're breaking down every single game that occurs in the Canadian Football League. We love CFL action. So subscribe, hop on over to YouTube, youtube.com. Jump on over there, type in CFL Gambling Podcast, hit that like and subscribe button, folks. And check out J Mark. He's on Twitter at JMarkFootball. Give him a follow. Check out the Old Fashioned Football Podcast, the UFL Gambling Podcast. Also, check me out on Twitter at TheColbyD. Check out the College Football Experience Podcast, the FCS College Football Experience, and one that I really think anyone would love with the Stadium Heads Podcast. We had Robert Martin in here, big Winnipeg Blue Bombers fan, talking about the CFL stadiums. We were talking about them on the Stadium Heads Podcast, but it's really just a deep dive on the great stadiums and what in North America and mainly college football, but we do have an appreciation for the stadiums up north as well. So check out the Stadium Heads Podcast, and don't forget CFL Gambling Podcast is on Twitter at CFL Gambling on over there, and check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. We're going to be talking some CFL on VSiN this Friday, I believe. So check out the VSiN show, Sports Gambling Podcast. That's if you have YouTube TV or something, you get VSiN. That's Brent Musburger's network, VSIN. Check it out, folks, every Friday, 6:00 p.m. Pacific. Looking forward to talking about these games coming up. So until next time, folks, this is the CFL Gambling Podcast Week 2 reaction show. Looking forward to Wednesday because we're going to dominate. This is where it turns around for me. It fucking turns around for me right here. It is when it starts. All right. What was my record again? 1-7 ATS. I got a feeling I'm going 4-0 this weekend. 4-0. All right. Until next time, folks, this is the CFL Gambling Podcast. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Spit my darts, you get ripped apart. Save the cookie cutter mother for 106 apart. Cause of your liquor will I sip your heart. You never dumb it down, dog. If you're smart, I throw out a couple of lines. Fighters are quick to cross. This year you on a dick to lie. Pitch you off, it goes. Tits and bras, lips and jaws. I use my common sense to see the bitch and all. Good thing you got the market corner. Kids and malls. Rip the red carpet as you slip and fall off. Another career spear. Thanks for trying to block. You get an A for effort and an F for shut the fuck up. Here's a hint. Put down the mic, you catch a glimpse. And keep them eyes wide when you see me. Mics, I seize them. So when you see him, you got a good reason to look. Catch a glimpse. A lot of these heads need to improve their improv. Talent's not a program you download to install. Quality spread through hard work, no involved. My peers respect me cause I'm genuinely involved.